And my stress comes from the fact that I don't have enough.
I don't even know the story of the 4 minute mile, but when everyone was running, long distance running, everyone said a 4 minute mile was impossible. And everyone was attempting it, it was impossible. And then one guy did it one day, and after he did it, 10 people did it in like 3 weeks. Yeah. And it's like the belief. So I think a lot of people when they're canceled go, I'm done. Now, nobody else has I will sit here and openly say my network and the things I do and the unique way I approach it and the war room and the organization I have and the money I have and the influence I have is unique. Most people don't have that. However, people will have the morale to go, I've been canceled, but you know what? I'm not quitting. Doesn't matter. I'm not giving up. All right, just make a new account. Bang, back to work, back to work, back to work. And on a long enough scale, if enough people do that, there will be inertia and momentum behind it, which will make a shift in the universe. It will attack the matrix in real time. It's belief.
I have a question about
belief. You must believe.
I believe in you.
You must no, but you must believe.
I fucking believe in you, bro.
That's
Andrew.
the key. One of the best things about money is I've managed to create my reality absolutely. I don't talk to anyone I don't want to talk to. If you come to me and say, we can make $100 million, but I don't like your shirt, then you can get fucked. That's my life now. Because I don't need money and I don't like you. So that's who I am, right? So I've created my reality, absolutely. And the number one thing I will not do is talk to negative people. I don't want to hear, I don't care what your story is. I don't care what happened. If all you do is complain, you are not around me because it is sticky. It's sticky to you. It's sticky to the universe. It leaves a residue. I don't want to hear it. Everyone around me is happy. And not only happy, we're the kind of people, if we're in a trench and we're getting shelled, we're laughing.
Yep.
We're like, missed. Woo-hoo. That's who we are. Bro, they just hit me with the largest matrix attack on the planet. I should be destitute and disappeared. Here I am on your podcast. I just pulled up in a brand new sports car. I'm like a cockroach. And you drop the nuke to kill everyone. And the cockroach crawls out with Top G on the back. It's all hilarious, bro. I've had this conversation with a bunch of people, and my basic premise is that I refuse to believe in things that take power away from me. If you are in a haunted house and you believe in ghosts, you're scared of the haunted house. If you're in a haunted house and you don't believe in ghosts, you're just in a house and you don't care. So I don't like the idea when someone explains to me the idea of one day waking up and being miserable and not wanting to live anymore, and it's nothing to do with my circumstances and I have no power over it, and no matter how good my life is, I'm still gonna feel terrible and I'm gonna wanna die. That's not an idea I subscribe to. That's not a reality I'm ever going to want.
But that's a reactive depression, isn't it? You can be reactive depressed for the day, for example, for a while.
Or even chronically. Yeah.
Feeling depressed is real.
Yeah.
Depression as a disease, I do not subscribe to. The idea, I believe, that if you feel depressed, something is depressing you, and you should try your best to fix it. You should take control of your life and do your best to fix it. The idea, but they don't say that. They don't talk that. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain and you're sad no matter what, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you need to only take pills. And I think that's a very bad way to look at the world, and that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, but you believe in the idea of depression, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed, self-hypnosing yourself into hypnotizing yourself into being clinically depressed. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I cannot become depressed because I don't believe in it.
I think the world would be a terrible place if everyone had a free mind. You do need the slave minds.
I've heard you say that.
As annoying as they are, you do need the slave minds. You do need the guy who believes that, working in the gas station is important and he's good at it. You need him. It's good. You need these people.
Yeah, but what if that guy just doesn't know any better, though?
It's good.
Or he's
This is what we're talking about,
Good,
though.
fine. The world can't all be, mansions on the palm in Dubai. They can't all be that. So it's successful is all about self-definition, which is what I was saying at the beginning. You have to decide who you want to be. And if you wanted to be Joe Schmo and you pull it off, then you'll be a pretty happy, content person. To decide who you want to be. I think the people who are miserable, it's the gap between their expectations and their reality. That's where the misery lies. Yeah. My expectations were always enormously high. Even when I was a nobody, I knew I had to be filthy rich and a kickboxer, and I knew I had to be the kind of guy that people gave a shit.
Were you happy at that point?
I know, but I knew I'm basic things. At the age of 15, I knew that if I'm the kind of guy that if I raise my voice, people are going to care. I'm not going to be the guy who starts shouting and everyone thinks it's funny. I know I'm going to be the kind of guy who is genuinely a formidable opponent in all realms of human endeavor. I know I'm going to have money. I know I'm not going to take shit.
Where did
from
that
nobody.
come from, though?
You can't just. Yeah, I know.
I understand what you're saying, because my whole life I felt like there's always more. I know that there's more.
But I think a lot of people have that.
Of course.
But the people who are miserable are the people who don't try hard enough to obtain it, because I actually believe, and this is another thing I'll say, I believe the universe is very giving. I think the universe and God himself is very giving. I've yet to meet somebody in all my years who is genuinely giving 100% of themselves day after day, doesn't snake anyone, firm handshake, look you in the eye, doesn't lie to nobody, and tries 100% who doesn't get what they want. I've never seen it. Every single person who doesn't have what they want, there's something in their story that doesn't quite add up. I've yet to see some guy have you ever seen a guy who eats right and trains his ass off and never misses a gym session ever not grow? Ever.
No, never.
Not
what?
Grow.
Not grow. Not make
ever.
gain.
It's just, that's the way the universe works, right? So if you're truly about it and you're truly trying your absolute best, you're going to do it. And that's what I believe. I believe the universe is extremely giving. So when I meet somebody and they go, I really wanted this and I don't have it, I say, you didn't really want it. You're a liar.
I think that the entire world was built by this God-given drive to conquer. And to conquer doesn't always mean dominate others. You can conquer the sky by building a skyscraper. You can conquer by building roads. You can conquer by construction, not only by destruction. You conquer by turning up to a new territory and having a beautiful family and creating children. I think that's inside of every single man. I think it's been dumbed down by the Matrix, but I'm uninterested in fun. I don't understand the concept of fun. Fun is for women and children. All the women around me have fun. If you ask a woman the kind of man she wants, she will never say depressed or sad. Ever. She wants a man who is ultra capable, ultra competent. I've literally had women say to me, you know why I love being around you? I'm like, what? I don't have to think. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I just turn up and like, we just walk in the hotel and staff do anything we want and the jet's just on the runway and we just land and I'm in this beautiful place and I don't even know where I am and I get to just turn my brain off and it's great. Like, they want someone who is fun and spontaneous and charismatic and successful. They don't have time for sad dudes. They don't care. So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're going to sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, you're going to have a shit life and nobody's ever going to give a fuck and you're going to perpetually lose forever. And that is your decision. I am so scared of being that person. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that can possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I could possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary because I will never stay a loser. It is against my creed. It's not in my DNA.
You have two choices. Either you understand what's happening in the world today and you're on the side of good and you're fighting against the Matrix, or you've accepted all the Matrix programming to pretend that there is no battle, and then by extension, you're going to end up fighting against your own mind. Yeah. And you're going to be in a fight either way. Your mind's either right and you're fighting externally against the enemy, or you've accepted the Matrix programming and you're sitting there fighting against your own depression, your own anxiety, fighting against your own struggles inside of yourself. You're going to fight anyway. There is no way to avoid this. So you have to make a decision. Do you want to have control of your own mind and control of yourself and fight for God and fight on the side of good against evil? Or do you want to accept the evil programming, fall down a hole of degeneracy and fight against yourself and self-destruct and implode? That's your choice to make. But I think the intelligent choice is to fight against evil.
But also, life teaches you a lot. And I think a lot of people are not very self-reflective of their own lives. I don't think you can read a book and that's great. But I think if you're living an interesting life, if you were to take half an hour a day to actually sit and go, okay, what good has happened to me today and what bad has happened to me today? Why have those things happened and how can I prevent them from happening again? Most people that kind of crap doesn't even cross their minds. Like every day I will sit at the end of the day and go, what bad has happened to me today? How did that happen? Did I get caught slipping was I on the street and some guys come up to me and it could have been a dangerous situation? Like, how could I genuinely have improved my reality? And you can self-reflect and teach yourself everything.
But that's total ownership of your life, isn't it?
But you have to have.
But a lot of people don't.
You have to have ownership of everything good that's ever happened to you and everything bad that's ever happened to you. I have complete ownership for the fact I was canceled. I don't sit there and go, oh, they're lying about me. Yes, they're lying, but I still own it completely. They're lying about me and they're talking shit, but I own it and I took responsibility for it and I sat there and I took absolute accountability and I thought, okay, how can I turn this in my favor? And I beat them. If I'm walking down the street and it starts to rain, I take responsibility for that. I didn't have to be in rainy London. I could have been somewhere else. I could have brought an umbrella. Could have took a car. I am responsible for getting wet in the rain. And there's people out here who just don't take any responsibility for their own actions, let alone the weather. If you take complete self-accountability and you self-reflect, you can learn a whole bunch about life.
But could you not just say that it's raining, this is unfortunate?
No, but that's what losers do. It's raining. I'm unlucky.
You got told.
But that's what they'll say. I got wet because it rained, not my fault. Whereas I'll say I got wet because I did not prepare for the rain. And serfs and peasants. And I think if you're a normal, average person now, you should feel deep fear and panic and understand that you have a certain amount of time to get into the higher bracket of the social class before these hard times come. And the most scary thing about these hard times is I have no real evidence for this. It's just in my mind. I feel like the gap is going to permanently close. In olden times, let me think about this thought, because in olden times, the chance of turning into anything more than a peasant when you were born a peasant was effectively zero, unless there was chaos, unless there was a war or some great catastrophe, which allowed social mobility for you to go to war, win, get a knighthood for bravery, get some land, and change your social mobility class. But there had to be war and chaos for you to escape.
There's a study I read about stress, and it was saying that stress has a placebo effect attached to it, because the placebo effect is extremely powerful. So they found some of the most stressed people in the world, and they split them into two groups. And they're all equally stressed. They all have a bunch of cortisol in their blood.
Yeah.
The people who believed that stress was bad for you and that stress can hurt you, and they believed those media articles, were dying earlier. They were having heart attacks and having stress-related illnesses. The people who believed the opposite, who just said, stress is part of being successful. I like stress. When I feel stressed, I do my best. It makes me anxious. It turns my brain on. I like being stressed. Lived longer than average.
Yeah.
The point is, the same drug, how you look at it and how your body anticipates it, how you feel about it, affects the real world results. I don't think motivation is a real thing. I don't believe in motivation as a concept. I think discipline is real, and I also think discontentment is real. And I don't think it's possible for anybody to stay in a scenario where they're truly uncomfortable. If you fall asleep on your arm and your arm really starts to hurt, even in the deepest sleep, you're going to wake up and move your arm. If you sit there and your life has been in a rut for 7 years, you are semi-comfortable in that rut. Sure, there's days you're pissed off. Sure, you're semi-annoyed by it. But there's also days where you just play video games, eat pizza, and you're kind of cool with it, and it's no big deal. If you were truly unhappy and uncomfortable and discontent with your scenario, you wouldn't be in it. So I don't believe there's anybody who's truly... When I was broke, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Please understand me. When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'd be trying to go to bed thinking, how the fuck these people have Ferraris? I want a fucking Ferrari. I couldn't sleep.
Just do it all at once. I mean, that's what I do. I've had people come into my office and say, are you on a phone call and playing chess and reading a web page at the same time? I'm like, yes. I'll be reading what I need to read and on the phone and at the same time playing chess. Otherwise, my brain's not full enough.
You need to be stimulated.
Yeah. So, yeah, can I focus on one thing? Not easily. But am I massively successful doing enormous amounts of work? Yes, every single day.
Yeah,
so
that's the most important thing.
It's just staying within the parameters of constructive. If what you're doing with your energy is constructive and you're within those parameters. I still very much understood any business I'm going to launch from now on out, I need to find a way to get attention. Not in a negative way, not in an attention-seeking way, but that's what advertising is.
Yeah, how do I get yourself out there?
Yeah, how do I get attention in the world today, which is difficult? And then once I get that attention, how do I monetize it?
Yeah.
Because that's the world we now live in. Rihanna, when she launches a makeup brand, no one buys it because of the makeup. They buy it because it's Rihanna. She has attention. She can monetize it any way she chooses. Rihanna can launch a fucking clothing brand, makeup, sofas. Who cares? It's Rihanna.
Yeah.
She's going to sell, right? So that proves that we now live in an economy. We live in a world where the most valuable currency, the most valuable thing that exists is attention. It's extremely difficult to get because people's attention spans are lower than ever.
Yep.
Bro, they're non-existent. Have you ever watched someone on TikTok? Next time someone's on TikTok, watch them. Because I don't have a TikTok account myself, but I see people on it. How long do they give a video to interest them? Maybe a third of a second? They're like...
Not interested enough, move on.
Bro, that quick. If you don't get my attention in 0.25 seconds, I'm not interested. Right? That's how hard it is now. So, and it's getting harder and harder because the apps and the algorithms are retraining our brains to do that.
Yep.
So now we live in a world where if you can find a way to hack these algorithms and you can find a way to get attention, and there's lots of different ways to do that, then you can find a way to monetize it. And off the back of that, you can become a very, very wealthy individual.
Any man out here who goes, I'm just going to work hard, do my bit, and obey the laws, and I'll have a good life. No, you won't. No, you will not. Just doing your job is never going to make you rich, because you're just going to be taxed into infinity and you're going to stay broke. So just obeying laws and doing your job now has set you up to be a peon and a slave for eternity. You have to get yourself in a position where you're making enough money that, I'm not saying laws can be broken, but there certainly can be bent. I mean, I think you know this with accountancy and the way the tax laws work. You get to a certain level where it's like, okay, yeah, we can just put that one to the side. We can twist that one around.
Arnold Schwarzenegger says, break the rules, but don't break the law.
Completely, yeah, and that's basically it, right? So you get to a certain level, and that's where it's really interesting because the average peon, their answer to all this is, we need to tax the rich, because they don't understand how money works. They don't understand how the world works. And they think that rich people are out here working some kind of job that you can tax.
Yeah. I've spoken to dudes and like, yeah, I had a bad couple months. Why? My girl left me. You've wasted months? You've wasted months over some like...
If I set you on fire and I tell you that eventually,
in 15 seconds or so, I'll put out the fire. And you believe me, you'll be able to sit there engulfed in the flames of poverty, and you'll be able to meditate and use your mind to resist dying because you believe it's coming to an end. If you don't believe I'm ever going to put the fire out, you're done. In fact, you're toast. And the reason for that is because you cannot endure the pain required because you don't ever believe you're going to get to the destination you are hoping for. To get to the end, you have to believe in yourself because you're going to suffer and it's going to hurt. And the only way you're going to get there is if you truly believe you're going to make it. So when I ask you, do you believe you could escape the matrix? Do you know what you want? Do you believe you could achieve your dream life and not be like all of these other idiots down below who don't want to escape or don't think they can escape or think it's too hard or think it's too difficult? Do you truly believe you are that guy? Because not all of you are going to make it. But the ones that do make it are going to be the ones who believe they can make it. I always knew I was going to make it. I knew I couldn't be like all of these brokies. I couldn't do it. Couldn't be a brokey. Couldn't be a wagey. Couldn't be a worky.